Hello and welcome to a special conversation with Gagan Daga. I first have to say this that Gagan's a friend. I've known him for what, 8, 9 years now, and I've seen his work in the tech domain, in the cricket space largely, but now it's music to my ears that he's getting into multi-sport, which will revolutionize the way we conceive, perceive, understand, and consume sport in a manner in India. Just by way of it, Gagan is the founder and creator of Straightbat. We have seen teams like Rajasthan Royals, Cricket Australia, multiple pedigreed institutions, brands, cricketers use this concept. There are 25,000 plus people now using the straight bat concept. Even the way technology has been integrated has evolved. When I met Gagan at the World Cup in 2019 to what he showed me the other day, a sticker on the bat was so much more different, and it's refreshing. It has added a different dimension to Rev Sports coverage, and I'm putting that on record thanks to Gagan, Navneet, and his team. So it was very important I deep dive, understand from him where the technology is, what his vision is, and how he wants to mesh the two going forward. So, Gagan Daga, welcome to this interview. First and foremost, give me a sense of the journey of Straightbat.
First of all, Boria, pleasure is entirely mine. You're one person in the world of media journalism we all look up to. The academic integrity, which the classical term comes to our mind whenever we read your stuff. So it's a pleasure is entirely mine. Thank you so much. Boria, I mean, the whole thought was when we started Straightbat is this, right? Sports is a pretty old industry. It's a very, very old industry, and for donkeys years, people have been playing sports. Cricket is a first, if you will, sport. And that's gone to around 385 years now. First game played in Kent. But it's one of the industries, if you will, which has only believed in lagging indicators. It's a bit of a laggard. Think about it. How many runs you have scored, how many wickets you have taken, how many goals, how many assists, what's your 100-meter race time, blah, blah, blah. They are all lagging indicators. There are no leading indicators. What will help you perform better? What will help you perform consistently? What will help you get value for the buck more often than not? And the reason is that there was no measure accessible, right? Videos came in 60s, 70s, in India, big time in 90s, and it's really changed the broadcasting landscape, and we all see. And it's amazing for the fans. It's amazing for analyzing the game, but after the fact, right? If I can give an example, right? Ask somebody who's an investor into different businesses, right? Would they invest in something which is already grown, or would they want to invest? But we do not know where to put, if you will, the value for, whom to groom, right? And so on, so because this is very, very subjective. Yeah. The whole thought was, with that in mind, can we capture the human motion in sports? Okay. I come from a tech world. I used to work in a tech behemoth called SAP. And the way I look at the world is the following, Boria. Search, really, really structured information, right? Social structured identity. Fintech structured payment and democratization there. Right? AI is based on those structured models which are not. But in sports, human motion is unstructured, non-standardized. Once you make that computable and hence structured by machines, the performance of humanity will go up, because then you will start, as what we were saying this before the interview, it will open up new dimension and new lens. Now bring it all down to what we have been doing, for example, in cricket. This is a bat, right? There's a bit of interesting thing with what you see in a gray, very unobtrusive, very, is actually a sticker which is smart. It's a Straightbat Pro. You just stick to the bat, switches on, if you can see the green light, and you play with it. What we do very well, we capture human motion without cameras and give you leading indicators, motion signatures of how you're playing the game so that you can improve consistently. What if I tell you a 4-degree shift in bat lift angle? A 4-degree shift in bat lift angle improved a player playing at the highest level T20, his bat speed by 21%, impact speed by 27%. A 4-degree. While it sounds impressive, for me, what is more impressive, that this language was not there. And suddenly you're talking about levers of how to improve something which was not
Correct.
even measured, which is so important for batting.
Plus, we are objectifying subjectivity here. We are
Exactly.
objectively analyzing subjectivity and using what you just showed me. There was, let me give you somebody's example who we are all talking about, a Vaibhav Suryavanshi. Rajasthan Royals, you work with closely. There was so much talk about Vaibhav Suryavanshi, holding his bat here, so he will not have adequate time against faster bowlers. He will struggle. But what we have seen in effect is that allows him that much more power, that allows him that much more freedom to play his shots. Can you explain that phenomenon to me? What you were just explaining with the bat that you have. How does somebody like a Vaibhav Suryavanshi benefit from this kind of analysis?
Think about it, right? We have always, a bit of a prologue to this, right? We have always measured technique based on, sorry to use this very loosely, but MCC manual of playing cricket, right? And I have this thing, playing straight has been the biggest thing. But playing straight is not playing in the V. I can play straight towards covers, I can play straight towards mid wicket. Playing straight means you are behind the line of the ball before the impact in the intended direction of the shot. So this itself is straight. This itself is straight. More behind the line of the intended direction of the shot, more consistent you will get and more power you generate. Basic. Now, what you gave an example, right? What we have seen actually, and this is data. I'm talking about millions and millions and millions of shots here, Boria. So this is not me cooking my theory. This is data. What we've seen is typically acceleration when somebody is swinging. Maximum acceleration happens at this point. This is when the maximum acceleration happens. Why? The torque is getting generated by the wrist and the elbow, right? Now, for you to create maximum acceleration, which will eventually lead to good bat speed, you need some space. You cannot create momentum with constrained movement. Now, space comes in 2 dimensions. One is this dimension, other is this dimension. All right. So if somebody can work within the guardrails and give them that space, which, for example, what you talked about, right? He or she will be able to create that maximum acceleration this time and hence generate power at the point of impact. So bat swing has to be seen in entirety. And what we have seen, which is a big, if you will, in the world of cricket, almost sometimes an antithesis, right? That you actually don't have to come with bat facing towards the wicketkeeper. It will be great for the offside play because they're behind the line, but you cannot generate power on the leg side because you'll be always constrained. So you need to give them what people call neutral position and play to your strength and adjust your bat lift, which is what great players like the ones you mentioned are doing.
Saurav Ganguly had once explained this without the scientific terminology, exactly this movement, and in Bangla, he called it Bogol Chapa batting. Basically, it means that the bat was coming down from close to the armpit and there was no power. He explained this to me with 3 examples of cricketers in Australia when India got all out for 36. He said, boss, this will not, and I'll tell you the context. He was telling me India needs to get Rishabh Pant into the mix. I said, why? He said, because this is where people are not being able to generate power. In Australia, you will not be able to win cricket matches like this. You have to get somebody like a Rishabh Pant who's a breath of fresh air. And he explained this to me with this term, exactly what you said. And this was Ganguly to me 3-4 years back. So as you were explaining this, I was thinking of Ganguly and that conversation with me during COVID times at the JW Marriott Hotel in Calcutta. I can picture Ganguly kind of demoing that to me and telling me that he will speak to Ajinkya Rahane in Australia. He was then board president. Aju was captain. Virat had come back. So for that series, anyway, moving on to a different dimension. I'll come back to cricket, Gagan. But you said you want to get this into other sports as well. That is music to my ears because scientific analysis, we keep talking sports science, and use of technology. Hardly happens. How do you want to get into other sports? Is there a timeline? Are you choosing any particular sport? Give me a sense.
So again, Boria, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm an engineer by heart, by brains, right? I try to solve problems systematically, and that's what the team does. You introduced me as a founder. I'm one of the co-founders, but more importantly, it's a team who's doing it, and I want to put that on the table, right? So what we thought is this. Now, motion is a motion is a motion is a motion. One person who will agree with it definitely is Isaac Newton. He defied the laws of the motion, right? Once you start capturing human motion in the most physically primitive manner, which is using the sensors, the avenues, and so on and so forth, you can actually convert that into a motion stack. So what we have done, Boria, we have actually translated what we've done in cricket to other sports like running. I'll show you something. This is a shoe. It has a special edition, right? It's the same tech. Everything is same. Okay. And you put it here. It's again few millimeters thick. Yeah. You just put it like a simple Velcro. Now, and we have developed a solution for running, which basically gives you what's your force of impact, what's your ground contact time, what's your pronation, where's your foot strike pattern, mid-foot, forefoot, what's your cadence, stride length, things which you'll not have. Why? Because running, the biggest problem is injuries. Whoever runs, injury is the biggest problem. If you give them the form score and have them, use and improve their running form, it will help in prolonging the running. But the interesting piece, what we asked, is the 80% or a tech stack. The hardware, the motion stack is sports agnostic. They don't even know whether you're running or playing cricket. And post that, we put the hat of the sports. Because everything comes from basic physical primitives. A peak acceleration is a peak acceleration. Peak velocity, impact is an impact. And then you apply sports-specific metrics, grammar to it. So what we are building, Boria, is a digital sports motion infra. All right? And the idea being that you need to democratize sports. You need to make this accessible to every sport the world plays so that the overall humanity level improves. I'll just end this with one thought, which is very dear to me. AI is taking over. There's a huge... In the world of AI, very few things will inspire humanity. Because you power the machines and they'll give you things which might probably in the future humans are not capable of. But the constraints of human and our ability to go beyond the constraints will inspire humanity. Sports and arts will play a big role in inspiring humanity. If we can increase the level of sports overall, I think we'll be doing a great justice to overall bringing the confidence level and everything of humanity going forward. That's the whole genesis.
What you just said about running will apply to all the jumps. I mean, somebody like a Murli Sri Shankar, when he does that, and when that injury happened, whether it's a triple jump, whether it's a long jump, that point of impact from the board. Mike Powell, one of the greatest jumpers of all time, had once told me that, look, and I asked him, we were chatting in my museum in Calcutta, and I asked him, people talk about your technique, that 8.95. What were you doing? He said, what is a jump? I said, what do you mean? He said, a jump is simply kiss and blow. I said, kiss and blow? He said, that's your action. He said, that's your action. When you run, it's kiss and blow, kiss and blow. And then when you jump, you don't look down. You're like an aeroplane. You've gone. And he demoed the whole process to me, kept it simple. He said, a jump can be defined like that. And instructive discussion with Mike, fantastic stuff. And what you just explained to me, all of the parameters that you can now measure with this tape on the shoe is phenomenal for anybody preventing injury, point of impact, any coach, any athlete, any youngster aspiring. Phenomenal. Last few minutes, Gagan. One, will this, because this has been, it's not as if other companies weren't there, right? We know that there were other companies as well which wanted to foray into the tech domain. But clearly, Straightbat survived. I know many companies who wanted to work with me. You all survived. What did you do different? And secondly, there is so much talk about, oh, you know what, this will add X to the bat or Y to the bat, and the weight will change, and X will change, and my focus will go. Clearly, this one sticker, nothing. There will be no change, nothing. So that's a huge advantage as far as Straightbat is concerned. So tell me why, what did Straightbat do different in kind of making the pole position in this tech domain? And secondly, are there any additions or distractions, let me put it that way, for the athlete by using this technology?
Great questions, and I will disappoint you because I will not have a silver bullet for that, Boria. I'm so sorry, and I'll be very honest about this. I think the two things which really are first principles of any business, is the product you sell, or make and sell, and the way you sell it, how you reach to the right. And those are fundamentals. See, we have this product, right here, right? I don't know if you've seen, we have also partnered with SG, and this is a smart cooler, by the way. This is sensor embedded in the back from the factory, right? The sensor's position is exactly here. Why? It is most non-intrusive, doesn't change the balance of the bat, doesn't distract the player. If you put it here, you will kind of, in your wrist, it will hit you. You're taking a stance, it will extend this, grip of yours, and the impact point, if this hits here, the sensor will sense the impact point much before the ball impact. You put it here, you put it anywhere, the further you away put from the handle, it increases the force applied, right? This has a maximum signal. This is where the point where the bat breaks maximum. You would have noticed, right? The neck, right? This is, I'm sorry, indulge me a bit of physics. Basically, when the ball hits the bat, energy transfer is happening. And the energy gets into this vibration, which you sometimes feel as a jarring sensation. And there's a two phase of those waves coming. They collide here. And hence there's a crest and a trough. But you get maximum signals here, most accurate signals here. So this is the reason why I put here. Believe you me, one of the design principles saved us. And this was engineering nightmare. We took 9 months to solve the problem. It's sometimes 100 times Newtonian force gets applied to the bat. The bat actually bends the point of impact, right? Point is, you cannot bypass engineering, bypass science. One. Second, the first product we made, it was an MVP. It was as thick as a duster, as big as a mobile phone. And I told my 2-member team that time, if you're not embarrassed by your first prototype, you're too late. The idea is to learn, Moria. The thing that you will get it right the first few times is completely either your ego or your ignorance. It's not possible. By physics, it's not possible. You need to learn. Coaches killed us. Players pushed us. Cricket Australia became a customer in 2019. Rajasthan Royals in 2019. They pushed us for our accuracy. They pushed us for ease of use. We were wrong so many times. But all we figured out, that's not the way to do it. So we were very, very, very true to the product and end customer at the end of the. That's one piece. And I can actually go on at length of that. That's something which I'm very passionate about. But second thing was go to market, right? We targeted premium academies, premium teams first. Why? Because if it doesn't add value at that level, then I'm solving the wrong problem. Right? When we started having case studies at the premium level of these improvement, I knew that we have hit something which is valuable. Then only when cascaded down, because at premium there's acceptance. I think we were the only company who would accept it at that level, right? Which helped us learn, which they really pushed us. They rogered us, quite frankly. And we kept learning. And the journey you talked about, the thick sensor, to this is a process of being at it, solving problems, riding the wave of the semiconductor industry and so on and so forth, to really take advantage of the right position, right time. I think I'm sorry I'm disappointing you. There's no silver bullet. It is about keeping at it, being true to what you're trying to do. And you will face a lot more disappointment than you probably hope for. But
Actually, this is the answer I was waiting for, because this is the Abhinav Bindra kind of answer. You ask Abhinav Bindra what was the secret that you won 180 international medals of the Olympic gold, and he will say, you think it is won on the day of the Olympic competition? No, it is not. It is won in the 4 years that you train every single day away from the media glare, the routine, the mundane, the boring. The boring is the story to success. The repeated failures are the story to success. Samuel Beckett, fail and fail more and fail better. So that's the answer, and I'm sure everybody will learn this from you, that it is about persistence. It is about staying true. It is about staying true to your calling. It is about being in the game. It is about continuously trying to improve and taking constructive criticism in your stride. Final question, Gagan. What's the way forward? What's the way forward? We are seeing so many innovations now. We are seeing sport changing every single day. What's the way forward for Straightbat? What is the next goal that Gagan Daga and his team want to achieve in the domain of sport?
What we want to be, we want to be the TCP/IP for sports human motion protocol. You know, we want to make human motion standardizable, understandable, and own the, if you will, the interpretation layer, so that people can, the leading and the lagging indicator goes up. That's one big. But we also believe now that we have so much of data and what I call motion signature, we can now move to different layers of industry. We have been obviously then equipment in play better. Now we're building solution and motion science for broadcasting, where just the broadcast feed backed with the millions of motion signature we already have, we'll be able to give the data sets without the sticker. So there's a lot of science which is going. So it will be very tech focused. But cricket, by the way, Boria, I don't know if you know, we just have the pleasure of onboarding KL Rahul, not only as a brand ambassador, but also he will be coaching. His digital avatar, AI avatar will be coaching players personalized to their game through our tech platform. So idea is to make game fun, accessible, and make the learning faster, make it fun, right? It's as simple as that, nothing more. If we can do that, I think we have earned a decent space in our, Bahi Khata of life. You see what I mean?
Super. Let me tell our viewers two things before I end this. One, we are actually doing this partnership with Straightbat. So you will see simulated, not match footage, because we are very well aware of our rights and regulations and where the restrictions are. So neither Gagan nor Rev Sports will ever infringe on anybody's rights. I'm making this very clear. Having said that, what we will do is we'll simulate, we will recreate, we will use similar instances from the match, derive it, so that we can make our viewers understand about players' improvements, about players' deficiencies, about how to get better. The idea is all positive, to analyze, understand, and experience the game better. So we are piloting this with the Women's World Cup. You have already started seeing the coverage with Trisha, analyzing the women's games. Every game, I will myself get into this as well. From the first game of the Women's World Cup, we will be writing about it. So if you are interested in sports science, tech, get into this, because we will have a separate segment with Straightbat, understanding the game better. Number two, I've requested Gagan that we must do it for the men's game also, not just restricted to the Women's World Cup. We want to do it for the men's series and the Asian Games, where somebody like a Vaibhav Suryavanshi will again take center stage. And we want to know more about this. What is it about this one guy who is taking the cricket world by storm? So I think Straightbat will enable us or help us to understand better. And I think I can say it here, Gagan Daga will be a part of Trailblazers Conclave next year, where we must understand the Straightbat concept better and how motion can be understood in sport, the macro picture, much better. Gagan, pleasure, absolute pleasure having you on this particular show, and I look forward to a long partnership and not just a pilot. Like you said, we will stay true to our game and get something done better. Thank you very much.
Boria, pleasure is completely mine. As you rightly, we always said, the protagonist is the player. We are just a support staff trying to see if we can help them get better. That's about it.
Lovely. Catch up soon, and thank you very much for partnering with us. Thank you very much.
Bye.